I get those goosebumps every time.
I just have to get the big fella off the bench.
Could this be their last chance now? In it comes, Monster to the ground! He scored! Harry Monster scored!
I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too numb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hind to throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying. Sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and hiding. I get those goosebumps every time. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind. You make everything feel fine. Worry about those times. I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hind.
Yes! Get in. We're
in.
back in business. Back with a win. Love it.
Get in there. Big win. Big win. As we said, what we needed, it's what we got. Absolutely buzzing. Get in there. Great stuff, Daz. And we're smiling on happy on a Saturday night. And I did promise you I would. That
was the key to everything.
I would have one of these bad boys. So cheers to everyone Saturday night.
And cheers to Miggy Almiron. He's listening to Away Days, and they'll kick up the arse he needed. He's back. He's back now, baby.
He's listening to you guys. That's what he's doing. He's listening to you
every time. It's the only one that works on is Miggy. Right, Pete, how are you? Do I have to ask?
Absolutely buzzing at that. I have to be honest. I was unsure of how we were going to react today with such a disappointing, obviously, way of exiting Europe. We talked about it on Away Days. I wanted to see a reaction, but Fulham were coming full of confidence, and you know what? There's a lot of strong mentalities in that camp, and it starts with the manager to get us through that. But I'm sure we'll talk about it as the game goes on, mate. How are you?
I'm good, but I had an eventful day as always. My wife was working, and I was. I'll explain it in the run through. You'll get the picture of a slight bit of panic, but not too much. But let's start with the team news. So the team news was as follows. So this was the big news was, and we had breaking this morning was that the Botman is back on the bench. Then we found out when the team news dropped that Isak was rested, not fully right from the last couple of games, and then there was an awful lot of talk of Shar not being around, but that was turned out to be false. Might turn out to be true now, but not for the come kickoff. But what did you make of the team, Pete? And it's a bit different than when I was thrown out in anger at Away Days. But what do you make of it?
Well, no, it's great to have different perspectives in how the team should line up. So this is what it's all about. But I have to say, yeah, as you're absolutely spot on. A lot of talk about changes to the team, players not playing, players could be back. I'm not going to lie, I woke up excited this morning to see that Sven Botman put his Instagram out to say that he was playing. Just being backing in and around the squad he's just massive for us. So to see him on the bench was exciting. But to see the team, I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely buzzing to see that Shaw was starting. With all the talk that he might not be because he has become so important to us. Dan Burn starting. We said Dan Burn, is it Dan Burn or Hall? Dan Burn being in there, it just felt like we were getting leaders back into the team, like experienced players coming into this team. And then you look at the rest of the team and you're happy. You can't not be. Wilson, Gordon, Almiron, Joe Linton, Bruno. You're looking through the rest of that team. You're thinking, that team there should be getting 3 points. And that was kind of my overriding feelings. But what about you, Daz? What was your initial reaction when that popped up?
Oh, when that popped up, yeah, I was delighted to see this man back Botman, back on the bench. I was wondering, would he start? I thought with the potential for Shar to be out, that he might have started. But yeah, this is where my story begins. We were having our chat in as we normally do on the team news. 2:30. Obviously, it's a 3 p.m. kickoff, so you have to get it whatever means possible in the game. But 2:30, my power went. My house was a power outage, and it came back at 3:15. So I missed the first 15 minutes or so of the game. But what I was doing actually was I on my phone I was watching and listening to Tune Review. Paul and Billy who do their watch along. So I joined in on and have listened to there to keep me informed of what was happening. And but let's get into that Pete. But yeah, that was my. I thought I'm going to talk to the game, and I haven't actually seen the game, but I got from after the 15 minutes, so 3:15 onwards I saw. So yeah, this was the Fulham team as well. But yeah, so in that first 15-20 minutes, the big news was about Shar. Shar came off with a hamstring injury. And he might as well add them to the big long list that we already have. It gets bigger. But spoiler alert. Yeah. On comes Krafku, not Cafu. Krafku comes on because he goes right into right back position. Lascelles stays where he is. Byrne moves across into centre back, and Tino moves from the right to the left. So that's how we reorganize. But you saw that first 15 minutes, Pete, before we get into the other major talking point. But anything else I missed in that 20 minutes?
Not really. I thought Newcastle came out and tried to be positive. We tried to push forward. We tried to obviously use the wings as our advantage in the overlaps to get the ball forward. We were the better team. We were the better team up until then. Like Fulham hadn't really created anything. It was, I honestly, Daz, I kind of got the feeling in the first 10, 15 minutes that they were almost trying to sit in and just trying to stop us playing or stop us creating chances. And I didn't really see a whole lot from Fulham. I'm not going to lie, but we created a number of openings, particularly down our right hand side. Obviously, the man comes on at that point, and there was question marks when up until the point where Shaw goes down, and you knew it was semi-serious because there was no one around him, and he's travelled out with the ball, and then all of a sudden he kind of pulls up, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, like what have we done to kind of deserve this amount of injuries?" But then Kraft comes on, and you're thinking, right, it's makeshift. Is he going to centre back or the rest of it? No, there's a complete reshuffle. So then Livramento gets taken from right back, switched to left back. Kraft, or that's called him Krafu, goes to right back, and then Dan Burn becomes our kind of standing centre back. And you're thinking, are these shuffles around going to give them a little bit of a encouragement? And to be fair, for a few minutes it did. They did start to push a couple of men forward and go in and try and attack. But then very quickly Newcastle came back in and started to pen them back again. But that was kind of the first 15 minutes. It was Newcastle emphasising the play, really.
Nice one. And then I was delighted. The power came back. I could get my stream up and running and get back on track with watching the game with my little boy. But straight away, as I turn, Jimmy still hates Goosebumps. But make sure actually also that everyone smashes that like button as it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen as well. We want about 300 likes. 100 likes for each of the goals that were scored today. So 300 likes would be nice. But so straight into the action, and this happens. Yes, I don't know what you'd call it. It was like a wrestling move, but Raul Jimenez challenge on Longstaff. Got a yellow card first. He totally cleaned him out, flattened him, and but then it went to VAR, and the ref had a look at it, and he changed his mind, or it was changed for him and red. So Raul Jimenez was off. I know you're agreeing that that's a red card here, Pete, but what do you make of it?
Honestly, I've watched it back even a few times after the game, and I'm just like, what the hell is he doing? Like, what actually is he trying to achieve there? Like, first of all, the ball isn't even high up. It's not even above knee high. So why he's jumping the way he is, I've got no idea. Secondly, the ball has already been played. The ball's played away from him. So I'm a bit like, what the hell's going on here? And then it's like it's like a kung fu kick turned into a kind of like a, I don't know, just turned his body and absolutely just takes him out. It's mad. But I think honestly, what kind of pushes it over the edge is that if you watch it back in the angle that you see, you can only see it very short, like and sharp. But actually, when he first connects with Longstaff, it is actually with the elbow. It's very short, and that's initially what takes Longstaff to the ground. And this is what a lot of people don't see. So the angle that we kind of see on the main TV, the main angle that they're showing, you don't really see it really clearly. But actually, as he comes in with his backside to connect with Longstaff, which is effectively what takes him down, the elbow connects with the side of the face first, and then he clatters him. So it's like a double whammy for Longstaff. He gets hit in the face by the elbow, and then he goes to ground. And I think, whereas some people are saying on social media, oh, where can I see the red card? I don't think it's a red card. For me, for all of those reasons, that it was unnecessary, it was highly, highly reckless, because with the way he connected with Longstaff, he could have knocked him out. And then Longstaff could have been out of the game off the back of that. Like, so there was those two things before. Then there's the elbow, and then there's the clattering that takes him out. And the accumulation of things, I think, has to be a red card. You can't do that on a football pitch. So like, are you with me on that?
There's no defending that. I don't think he actually meant to do what he did, but there's no defending how it played out. So yeah, it's a definite red card. So gone. So then so that's Fulham down to 10 men. So then 9 minutes later, Gordon has a shot that comes off the crossbar. He does kind of get tangled in his legs a bit, and it comes off the crossbar and then right through Longstaff's legs. After that, unlucky not to connect there. Then 32 minutes, Wilson's header, good save by the keeper. Then straight down a couple of seconds later, Iwobi had it was Joe Linton's misplaced pass, and Iwobi was kind of clean through one-on-one with Dubravka, who made a save there. And so that was the only thing they really had on us today, that one shot. Then 35 minutes, Joe Linton, of course. Joe Linton goes down injured as well. So add him to that list along with Char. And I think Eddie Howe said after the game that, just as you think things are getting better, we're kind of this recurrence of it going bad again. But I think also, and Jordan has an article out there as well. I just read it before this, that his initial thoughts are Char may be a glute, and Joe Linton is hamstring, but how severe they are is questionable. I suppose at the moment it will be determined a bit more tomorrow. But on comes Lewis Miley at this stage to replace Joe Linton. But all in all, that brought us to half time, and there's so many. Then of course, the pressure's on us then to make something of the advantage, and it's we're peppering their goal, and nothing's gone in the first half, not capitalizing on all the space, the mountains of space where we have. And I think I said in our chat as well, two players you would like to have in that situation then is Shar, who would bring the ball up when he has space to run and take a shot from distance, and Isaac, who loves a bit of space, and when you give him a bit of space, good night. But neither of them were there. But what, all in all, the first half, Pete, what was your thoughts there?
It was largely a frustrating first half because we created chances. We were putting them under pressure. We're trying to pin them back. Obviously, with 10 men, we emphasised that a little bit more. And it was a mixture of obviously the two injuries that you just talked about, and like I said, Eddie Howe said they're not too serious. I would kind of earmark hopefully Shaw for Luton. I'd be looking at Joe Linton for possibly Forest, or if not Liverpool. So you're giving him a week and a half, 2 weeks to kind of get himself right. If it's a minor hamstring complaint, could well be enough time. And the mixture of that and us hitting the ball with Gordon and creating a number of openings and not really punishing them, you kind of get frustrated with that. And so it was a frustrating half for me. And I did worry naturally, because we've talked about it before, because we didn't have many options left, because a lot of people had forgotten that you can only make your subs within three installments. And because we had the two individual subs at different times, we only had one remaining sub like period in that second half. So if we were to bring three on, which we eventually did, we'd have had to do it in one. And so that worried me as well, because of players tiring, potential other injuries, which you're concerned about. All of that, I was just a bit like, what am I going to expect in the second half? So that's kind of where I was at with that. What about you? What about yourself?
No, I was just wondering. It's only a matter of time, but what if we don't get that goal? I didn't care how many we scored, but as long as we got that one, I thought one was going to be enough to seal it, because I know Fulham would come at us a bit more then, but one would be enough. It's just, but that's a stupid rule then as well. 3 segments for the subs when it's injuries, real injuries as well. But look, that's the rules there. Well, they are. But moving on into that second half, Pete. 51 minutes, great save from a Gordon shot. Then a minute after that, then Miley had a shot, was saved as well. Then there's attack after attack from us. Then Bruno got on a run and laid the ball off to Louis Miley. Bang! First goal ever for Newcastle. What a finish from the 17-year-old. He's the youngest ever scorer as well for Newcastle, I think. So fair play to him, Miley. And here, cue the celebration. Of course, my stream went down as that happened, and I had a look at it back again after the game, because I only just got a glimpse of the goal, so I didn't get to experience the full thing at that time. But delighted for Louis Miley. What did you make of the goal? You would have saw it more in play. I just the clip I saw was Bruno busting through and a great run, and then dropping to Miley, and he finished it.
Well, firstly, I have to thank Lee. Because Lee brought his it's not actually a stream. He's got his French football on his technology, should we say? And I was watching the game in real time, which was absolutely perfect. So thanks, Lee, for that, because he definitely helped me out. But what I would say is that it was fantastic play from Bruno Guimaraes. His little weave and run. It wasn't the first time in the game that he produced a quality moment, and it was very quick feet, wins the ball in between a couple of players, and the ball does favourably bounce up off his knee and into the path of Louis Miley. But still, the composure. Any other player at that age probably would have snapped at that shot. But what he does, what I like about him, very similar to Sean Longstaff, is that he composes himself. So he takes a nice little calming touch, and then very similar to Sean Longstaff, I think against Southampton in the semi-finals, second leg of the Carabao Cup last year. He just takes that little touch and just rifles it into that far corner at the Gallagate, and when it goes in, the roof goes off. Everyone is buzzing for him. If anybody's not seen this, go and watch it back, and hopefully, Sky, I'm sure will, but Match of the Day, I hope they capture the players celebrating, the way they celebrate with him. Partly relief because we got that breakthrough, but ultimately it was that love and that respect and that appreciation of a young Geordie lad, 17 years old. We keep talking about it, scoring his first goal at St James's Park at the Gallagate end of all places, and it was a great moment, and everyone in the stadium, I imagine it was emotional time to see a young player who's been fantastic for us recently since he come back from his glandular fever. I have to be honest, glandular fever, I know a lot of people have had it. It can wipe you out for months afterwards. So the fact that he's come back from that and has put the performances in that he has, in addition to now scoring this goal today, wow, it just tells us what a talent we've got. And just a relief kind of went through, kind of gave out a little yes, and it shocked everyone in the room. So I apologize to them, but I just knew getting that first goal was going to be massive for us getting the 3 points today. What about yourself?
And then he woke up and he realized it was all a dream. He wasn't actually playing for Newcastle at all. It's like one of those stories, like our little kids' book of I want to play for Newcastle when I grow up. Like, you couldn't write it any better than that. Like his path into the Newcastle first team. But delighted for him and for everyone. So we're so much more to come from him as well. From our own wonder kid. So absolutely delighted for him. But moving on into 63 minutes. Ball from Gordon was heading towards Wilson. Robinson got in the way, or kind of give Wilson a nudge, which probably would have been a penalty. But the ball just trickled on past everyone else into this man, Miggy. And Miggy on his left foot, he won't let you down. So left foot was the right decision on this occasion. So Miggy put it in the back of the net. Cue the celebration from Miggy, and then a VAR check to see was Wilson offside, but no, he wasn't offside. So goal stood 2-0 Newcastle then at this stage. And yeah, as I said at the start, just glad that kick up the arse I gave him as paid dividends. So well done, Miggy. Fair play. Good performance today, and back scoring a goal. But what did you make of Miggy's goal?
Lovely finish. Nice little bit of play from Wilson as he did all game, just trying to occupy the centre backs, creating the space, and it allowed for Miggy to kind of roll in and sweep the ball home. But it was hilarious because in the Geordies Down South chat, there was a few of the lads that I literally hammering Miggy. Saying what I think it was Tony was saying just a little bit in the chat earlier about Miggy infuriates me, he's annoying me, he's this, that, and the other. And there was a voice note came in about 14 seconds from one of the lads, and they were kind of, he was saying about Miggy, and then all of a sudden Miggy just pops up and scores. So I just put in the chat, Miggy 2-0. Started laughing. It was hilarious because they were hammering it the whole time. But look, this is what Miggy does. Like you just said, Daz, before, he did it last season. He's done it before. Just when you think, like, what is Miggy giving us? He's not giving us anything. He's missing big chances, this, that, and the other. He comes up with a big goal, and it was a big goal because it effectively secured the win. At that point, Fulham knew they weren't getting 3 points or anywhere near it. At that point, we knew that we were strong enough to ensure that we weren't going to concede. It was such a big goal at a big moment. It changed both teams' mentalities. We were full of confidence at that point. They were down in the dumps and knew the game was done. So great for him to be putting that in the back of the net and finishing it off. And look, let's hope it gets him on a run with a few goals. We need that from him. We can't just expect Isak and Callum Wilson to put the ball in the net every week. Okay, there are going to be games where they can't do that. So we need Gordon to step up. We need Joe Linton, Miggy, Bruno, even Miley, Longstaff. We need those players to step up and give us goals from all over the place. And we're good at that. We've got a team that does score a lot of goals outside of the main men. So great to see him go up, and let's build his confidence up. And you look at his reaction, and he gives it back to the fans in the Gallagate, and he's getting them up, and it means so much to him. You know, he does get a lot of stick, Miggy, and some of it is justified, definitely. There's elements of his game that sometimes are just not up to scratch, and we're right to be able to say that. We are right to call that out, but we cannot call out his determination, his passion, and his want to be the best he can possibly be for Newcastle United. And he showed that in his celebration when he put the ball in the net. So fair play to Miggy. More of the same, please.
More of the same. I'm not sure if Gordon gets the assist or if I claim it myself. But we move on we're moving on to 81st minute now at this stage. And yes, Byrne gets the ball in the back of the net, but it was ball second. It was, I think, could have been Bruno put the ball in. It was the second attempt to put a ball in. Bruno put a lovely ball in, actually. And Byrne, all he had to do was connect with it in any way possible. And the second attempt for Byrne, he got it in the back of the net as well. So 3-0 Newcastle. And yes, as you said earlier, even before that goal, Fulham had knew the right was on the ball, and they made a few subs. But yeah, Byrne back from injury, back early from injury as well, on a back injury. So he made it back really super quick ahead of schedule, and great to see him get his goal as well. And absolutely delighted. He nearly more delighted than Louis Wiley scoring a goal. A smile beaming from ear to ear there. But any thoughts on Byrne's goal, Pete?
You just talked about it a second ago, Daz. Obviously, it starts with Bruno that starts to play. I think he might be the one that takes the corner, and it kind of the ball, the play kind of maneuvers into its second and third phase, and it falls back to Bruno in the outside of the foot pass. Wow, the guy, what a ball! So casual, just floats it to the back post, and someone that's 6'7" is going to be like, I'll take this all day, and he just hammers it home with his head. Cannons off the goalkeeper, and then he just gets back in there. All he has to do, I think he uses his hip in the end. He just kind of maneuvers it home with his hip back into the back of the net. And what a great way to mark your comeback.
Exactly.
He was open and honest, Dan Byrne. He was a week or two ahead of schedule coming back for the AC Milan game. We're going to have to be patient with him. He's not up to scratch. He's going to probably take this Christmas period for him to get to that. But that goal will give him the confidence for sure. That will give him the confidence that he's back, and that raises anybody's confidence levels when you put the ball in the net like that. And obviously, he's starting to build up a knack of nicking a goal here and there. He did it back end of last season. He scored against Sheffield United. More of the same, please. Let's use his height for our advantage in those kind of set play positions. So great goal. And of course that at that point, everyone's saying game over. Let's celebrate the 3 points, and more so than anything, let's not concede.
Let's not concede as well. And great to see Dubrovka getting a clean sheet as well. So yeah, good for his confidence as well. Yeah, so then a triple change, the one last one they could use. Tino off, Richie on, Byrne off, Botman back and on, getting a few minutes, and Gordon off and Hall on as well, getting a few minutes as well. Good to see. But the game was not over yet, because on the 93rd minute, Wilson was dying for a goal. He desperately wanted a goal, but he hits the woodwork. And then there was one before that as well, where he had his back to him now, but Richie was clear and screaming for it. And if he had passed it to Richie, he would have definitely scored it. But that took us to full time, 3-0 Newcastle, and absolutely delighted. You're delighted, Pete. I'm delighted. Eddie is definitely delighted. Everyone at St James's Park and everyone that supports Newcastle or connected in some way is absolutely delighted. Cue the team's photo. Everyone happy faces, and even the players that went off are in there as well. I saw Joe Linton in there. I'm sure Shar's in there. But
yes, he's hiding just behind one of the coaches, right bang down the middle. So you got Callum Wilson, you got the coach just behind him, and then you can see the back of or just the top of Shar's head next to Dan Byrne. So I did have a look at it. I thought, I wonder if he's in there, because if they're not, you think it may be more serious than it's been said. But they're all in there, like you said. Some of the injured players, Barnes and Willock, Murphy. Target even. Wow. They're all in there.
Pete, last Christmas I gave you my heart. The very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save you from fear, I'm going to give it to Jason Tyndall. There he is. There he is, Jason Tyndall. Loving that tune rocking up around St. James's Park today as well. So nice one. I think Eddie had a comment on that one too. But yeah, back on win ways. Overall, Pete, your thoughts on the result?
Honestly, it's a massive, massive win. Okay. The performance might not have been the Man United level performance that we had the other week, but we got the goals today, and we put Fulham to the sword. Again, we keep saying this is what we didn't do last season. When teams come up and make it difficult for us, we find it difficult to break them down. This season, we're breaking these teams down. And it was great to see. The mentality was there. We literally put Champions League aside and we got on with the job. We got the job done. We didn't get affected by the fact that they were down to 10 men. They started to sit deeper and more compact, and we had to work harder to break them down. But the most important thing is we broke them down and we got the goals that mattered. It was such a big win for the mentality in what is going to be another really tricky Christmas period. Chelsea on Tuesday, Luton away. I have to say, a few people have said it, but Tom Lockyer, thoughts and prayers with yourself. We're hearing that he's awake and he's responsive, which is great news for him, his family, and for everyone obviously associated with Luton. And yeah, honestly, it does put things into perspective. I'm glad they made the decision to abandon the game, because players on both sides experiencing that. I couldn't think of anything worse. And yeah, I think it was right to cancel that game and replay the game when players were in a better kind of headspace off the back of that. You can see the manager, I think it's Rob Edwards, is the manager for Luton. He went round with the Luton players, and thanked all sides of Bournemouth for obviously being respectful to Tom. And you can see how emotional he was. He was upset. He was crying. You could tell. And that was a really, really difficult moment, even just to watch. Me and Lee were there watching Sky Sports News. It was coming about really hard. But the point that I'm making on top of that is that we go to Luton. Is that going to be an emotionally charged Luton when we go to their place next weekend? Quite possibly. So we've got to navigate ourselves through some difficult games. Forest at home, they've got some good players. I do expect us to win at St. James's Park. And then we've got Liverpool New Year's Day. So we've got to navigate ourselves through some difficult periods. So to get that win off the board, get us ahead of Man United, keeping us in touching distance with the likes of Tottenham and Man City and the likes, that's what we needed. We needed that. And we've got a platform now to build from, which is what we've talked about in the last week, is building that platform and kind of kicking on in the Premier League, mate.
Cool, Pete. All right, I'm going to change tact here. I want to talk about your three high performers today. I want to try because I picked out three myself, so I'm going to say our three high performers. I'll talk through mine first, and then you can see what you think yourself. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to go for Byrne. I thought Byrne great coming back. Starting a left back, switching to centre back, got a few tackles in there as well. That those one the Iwobi chance, he didn't connect with the ball, but his presence was felt, and the shot didn't go as accurately as he probably would have liked. And he got his goal as well, and you can see it meant so much to him to be back, come back from injury, really. But I thought he was superb. Bruno in space. Bruno, because having that freedom, he was kind of playing like a number 8 today, because he had that freedom, and it just shows you if we had a kind of more defensive midfielder or somewhere else played in that position, that we might get more of that. Now we might obviously be playing against 11 men, but yeah, it just shows you what he can do. So I thought he was immense as well. And the wonder kid himself, Miley, coming off the bench and getting his first goal for Newcastle. So they're my three. And I'm going to give my man the match to Lewis Miley because, the emotion of everything. So, so well done to Newcastle. Well done to all involved, and well done to Byrne, Bruno, and Miley as my top three for this game. How about you, Pete?
In no particular order, Bruno Guimaraes, I thought, was outstanding. Probably giving my man of the match, to be honest. I thought he ran midfield. I thought he was very, very good. I think, other than, I think everyone was bad against Everton and Tottenham, but either side of that, I think Bruno Guimaraes has played very well in a lot of games recently, other than those two. And he was back with another really good performance. And I was talking to Lee, actually, funny enough, as the game was going on, because we were watching it. And Lee turned around to me and he said, honestly, you don't realise how important Bruno Guimaraes is to your team. He watches him obviously closely from a French perspective, and he just says, look, the things that he does on the pitch, he is so important to the way Newcastle play. And he is. We've all said it. He is. He's so important. And when he's on song, we are much, much better for it. And I thought he was superb. Of course, the star boy, Lewis Miley. Honestly, Daz, we keep waxing lyrical, but we're running superlatives for this young boy because he is making waves, not only in Newcastle but in the Premier League. 17 years old, he's playing like he's in his mid-20s, like he's been doing this for years. He's so comfortable on the ball. He doesn't let anything faze him. He's played in some of the biggest games in Newcastle's recent history. Hasn't fazed him once. But you know what I love about him? I love that he's so humble, so respectful. And someone mentioned in the chat, his interview with Dan Burn afterwards. Dan Burn says he almost hates Lewis Miley because of how nice he is as a person. And you can tell the way he speaks, the way he comes across. Seems really kind of respectful, really humble. He's not one of them that's becoming a bit or will ever become a big time Charlie because he's a Premier League footballer or the rest of it. He just seems so grounded. And that's not easy in this game to do. But on the pitch, dominating, puts himself about, gets stuck in. He's so comfortable on the ball. Now he's putting the ball in the back of the net. He's becoming the well-rounded midfielder. And honestly, it's gutting to lose someone like Joe Linton, but when you've got someone like Lewis Miley coming in, you can always trust that he's going to give you something extra, and it makes the loss of someone like Joe Linton, who's a terrific player, by the way, it makes the blow soften slightly because he's going to come and give something extra to the team. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but he is a tremendous player. And lastly, I'm going to give it to someone different. I'm going to give it to Tino Livramento. And the reason why I give it to Tino Livramento is because today, I think, was probably the first game where we didn't overly notice that Kieran Trippier wasn't in the team. And I have to put that down to Tino Livramento. He started the game. I think he handles himself so well. He hasn't got that set piece quality, but I think the way in which he glides up and down the pitch, his defensive responsibility, I thought he was excellent. And so I'm going to give it to that. I mean, there's other people you could have shouted at. I thought there's a number of players that had good games as well. I thought Jamal Lascelles, with all the disruption, I thought handles himself really well. Talked about Kraft, and a few people have said it in there. Big up to him, right? Coming back in,
played really well,
and he played well. He really
see the nutmeg.
Well, I didn't actually.
Oh yeah, he nutmegged. I can't remember who it was now, but he did. Yeah, he did. It was well played. I didn't think he had it in him, and he meant to do it as well. You could see it. You could see his eyes. Yeah, you'll see it again. I'm sure
it's really interesting with Kraft. I don't know whether you agree with this, Dash, because he obviously wasn't doing well under Steve Bruce. But since Howard's come in, he hasn't played a lot. Obviously, he was injured the whole of last season. But when he's actually played, he hasn't done that bad. And he's getting called up regularly for Sweden. Even when just back from injury, getting called up and playing. there's clearly something in there because of the reports you get from an international point of view. Eddie Howe always talks him up positively. You know, is he a player potentially that could come in and do a job for Newcastle? Not start, not push out Trippier or Tino Livramento or Burn, but you know, is he a player that you think could be one of those players to move forward and do a job, or do you think we are kind of going to get rid of him?
Kraft. No, I think Kraft is an excellent squad player for us, because he can go in at centre back and at right back. So I think he's a good one to have around. It's a Swedish international as well. But yeah, I definitely keep him around. I don't know what age he is. Is he around 28, 29? That kind of, I don't really know, but I think he's a good one to have for a while. I know Alan is a big fan of him there, Alan Thompson as well. He's calling him a superhero, I see in the chat. But there was a question to us on Twitter as well, and the question was, how much is Louis Miley saving us by him coming through the ranks and being... He's going to be a starter for us. Well, he's a starter already, but going forward, he'll be a more regular starter for us. But
well, put it this way, guys. And I think whoever put that on socials to us, it's a great question. It really is a really good question. Put it this way: look at how much we paid for Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall for their potential. And now you put that in a centre midfielder who's performing the way he is and now putting goals to it too. He's added assists to his good performances. Now he's adding goals to his performances. You're talking around the same. Like for that potential, 17 years old, you're talking 40, 50 million.
I think 50 million to start before you even think about anything else.
And that's not us valuing him. That's us saying how much we've saved because of what we would maybe had to have signed in replacement. And there was a question I think asked to you and Chris the other day, and I said, you know, do we need a centre midfielder coming in? I think arguably a number 6 we probably do, but did we need that other midfielder coming in when we have someone like him emerging into the team and actually stamping his authority? He's a first team player now. You won't see him playing for the 21s now moving forward. No. 23s, whichever one it is. He is a first team ready player. You were saying the same about 50 million?
Yeah, it's a 50 million starting off. Look at what the price we paid for Tonali. I've forgotten the price because I thought it was around 52 million we paid for Tonali, but then I heard on the Milan lad saying 80 million. Where did they get this 80 million?
This is what the Italian media is. Yeah, it's the Euro situation. So we paid about, I think it was between 50 and 55 million pounds, English pounds, for Sandro Tonali. I think it might have been right about 52. But obviously in euros, it's a bit more. But if you remember, it definitely wasn't 80. But if you remember, a lot of the media in Italy made out that it was like 80 million and they were referring it to 80 million. So the English media started referring to it as 80 million, but they didn't realize the Euro side of it. And of course, the Italian media, particularly the Milan media, were going to say it was 80 million because they wanted to portray that their star boy was leaving for Newcastle for a huge sum. They were always going to put a big fee on it, but actually the reality was a lot different. So, you're talking another Sandro Tonali type fee that we're saving him, and potentially, and I hope it goes elsewhere. So,
Pete, will we go? Do you want to look at the table, or do you want to go through some of the questions first? Because I know we haven't even got through all the comments yet, but maybe start tackling a few of the.
Want to get it up now?
But I have the table open.
You got it.
Yeah. I just have to share it. So, let's try that.
Get up the table, eh?
So here we are. The Premier League table. Okay, only half the games played, or not even half, maybe. The big one tomorrow, Liverpool, Man United. We're expecting Liverpool to win that. Arsenal. Who Arsenal playing?
They got Brighton. Brighton at home. Tough game.
Oh, okay, cool. Because if Arsenal win, it keeps them Brighton off us. If Brighton win, it gets us closer to Arsenal. Villa, City drawing today with Palace was an interesting result as well. I'm sure D is going to enjoy that one.
To be fair, I don't think he's been in the chat. He's probably just still celebrating. That one. I've got a side question for you and everyone in the chat. How many are Man United going to get smashed by tomorrow? I'll let you think about that for a second. We'll look at the table. We'll come back to it, Daz. Have a think. Everyone in the chat, get your thoughts in, get your score lines in. How many are Man United going to get smashed by at Anfield, in your opinions? I'm assuming here, of course, but I think I'm right in maybe assuming that that's going to be the case. But just wanted to put a little side question in there. But sorry, Daz.
No, we'll come back to that. So Villa, I got the fixtures up as well now. So Brentford play Villa tomorrow. So go on, Brentford and that one. But you imagine Villa will continue to form, but you never know. Spurs, they beat Forest on Friday night, so they got their points already. Their game done. We're 4 points behind Spurs as it stands. So the way it's going, we could catch City, the kind of form there, and of course Holland was missing today as well. I mean, I don't think he was on the bench either. So that's where we are, sitting in sixth spot after 17 games. So halfway is 19. So we're setting ourselves up, as we said before, setting ourselves up for a nice run at things at the second half of the season. But there's big games to come, including the League Cup game as well, and then the FA Cup on top of that, right out in the new year. But Anthony, you want to say about the table, Pete?
Well, firstly, normal service has resumed this season. We're ahead of Man United, which is what we should be. That's been Man United's argument. The likes of Goldbridge and a few other Man United fans, I think Saeed has mentioned it a couple of times on his channel about the fact that we're getting hammered and this, that, and the other in the media. It's more Goldbridge than anybody else. But what about Newcastle United? We're talking about how good Newcastle are and their injuries, but we're still ahead of them. Well, yeah, because we should be, because we're better than you this season. Normal services resumed. We're there. We expect Man United to get a hammering. And they're the only team, I think, in the top half that have got minus goal difference, which I think tells you its own story about their team. But look, we keep moving. We're looking up now, moving forward. We're looking at Tottenham. We're looking at City, Villa as the ones that we want to target. And look, we're not far behind. I think, what are we, 5-6 points behind the chasing pack in terms of
yeah.
So it's all still there to play for. We keep navigating ourselves through this. I think someone else put in the chat, and it was a really good point. I'll maybe try and see if I can find it. David R came up with a great point. If we can win the next two games, we will take 35 points at midway point in the season, considering the massive challenges we've faced. And that would see us comfortably on track for 65, 70 points end of season. And you know what, David R, you're absolutely right. Having gone to, the likes of the Etihad, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, going to difficult places like the Amex, and playing against these teams. By the end of January, I keep saying it, but we won't have to play Man City again, Liverpool or Villa. We are going to get a number of favourable fixtures in that second half of the season where we can start racking up the points. We're in a good spot. We're in a good spot right now, but we just need to make sure we get those next two wins. And then that sets us up for a second half of the season blast. Get players back, get players signed, and properly kick on. I expect signings within the first week of the January transfer window, because we're going to need to move fast because we've got big games coming.
Now, Andy Ford has asked a question, and I think he's got a bit overboard this one, but he said, "Where's the Mackem Keith tonight?" I won't continue with the rest of it, but
Put that back up again, Daz. Put that back up again. Blue Bamboo. I remember. Oh my God, what a place! What a place.
LB.
Yeah, great place. Went in there a few times back in the day. Forgot about that. Yes, get in. Sorry. I was just reminiscing there. Great times, great times.
So back to your question. How many are they going to get beaten by? I say Liverpool. I'm going to go easy. Liverpool 3, Man United 0.
3-0.
3-0.
Only 3-0.
I think they take that now. They take it.
Someone Paul's gone 1-1. Yeah.
1-1.
Wow. Adam McCarthy's gone 7. Interesting. Some scores in there popping up. Yeah, interesting. I think 4. 4-0. 4-0. I'm going for. Not unless Man United just go to do a Mourinho, literally park the bus and try and LB 12. Hey, he's gone missing.
Again,
Not
he always goes missing.
Not heard a word from him. He's on one of the other chats, Terry Fleur's chat, and LB. I'll tell you what he said. See you in 2024. That was all he put. He's gone. The 12-man chat, nothing. Not a word. But what made me cry with laughter is that as soon as that penalty went in, I think it was Elise that took it. As soon as that penalty went in, Errol was straight on the 12-man chat, and he was like,
"Go on for him."
LB, how's your team getting on today?
That was nice of him to ask, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was really nice.
That's how it was. How's your team getting on today? And then he said he then went on to say, are you all set up nice and comfortable, ready for the Super Sunday tomorrow? Yeah, not a word, not heard from him at all. So there you go.
Cool. Yes. Let's go to the questions, Pete. Let's go fire through some of the questions or comments that you've got on there.
Definitely. Well, we talked about this one already, and that was a really, really good one to start with regards to the league table. I think, David, you're absolutely right with that one. So fair play. Let's get those 2 wins first. Tony, great to have Tony in the chat. Hope you're well, fella. Different question for Daz and Pete. How did you both start supporting Newcastle? Personally, my mum's best friend's son supported them, and I was 5 years old. Watched them, copied him 28 years later.
Well, I go here first. I think we talked about even doing a show on this kind of because we did go through all this kind of stuff before back when we were on Matters. But for me, I started supporting Newcastle when I was 11, and it was the time when Newcastle nearly got relegated to what was then going to be the 3rd division at that stage, and then Keegan, who came in and took over as manager, was last seen taken off in a helicopter as a player, coming back as manager and saves them from relegation. And then I was reading the article was where in Shoot or Match magazine. That's where I started reading this, and then I just. My fondness for Newcastle grew, and I was a Newcastle supporter. And I was the very next season they got promoted into what then was the Premier League, and we had Andy Cole and Peter Beardsley, and that era onwards was when I started supporting Newcastle. So it's about exactly around 32 years ago or something like that when I started supporting Newcastle. So I know, so I was 11 when I started. I know you were younger, Pete, when you started supporting Newcastle, but it was in around the same kind of time. And I remember your story. Go on, you tell it.
No. I will say I'm very, very fortunate to be supporting Newcastle United because everything was purely by chance. And my dad wasn't a massive football fan. He actually worked for the old Walker's Crisp, who used to be Leicester's sponsorship years ago, and so we had that kind of affiliation with Leicester City off the back of that. But it was just by chance. He just turned the TV on. We were just doing nothing that day, and the football was on. And I've seen a little bit of football, but not watched it with intent or supported anybody. And it was the game where we got promoted to the Premier League. Newcastle beat Leicester 7-1. I remember watching Andy Cole. Andy Cole is the reason why I support Newcastle United. Watching him score the hat trick that day, I was just fascinated. And I remember saying to my brother and my dad, like, who's that? Because I'd not seen him before.
Yeah.
And wearing the black and white, very distinctive colours. That was it. Hooked. And I have to say, I keep saying it. I'll say it again. Like my brother Lee, like I owe a lot to him, because when I was sort of 8, 9, 10 years old, I wasn't old enough to go off and watch games on my own. He was 5 years older than me. Him and his mate, who he used to play up front with for his local football team, was a Newcastle fan as well, because he had family connections. I used to go to games with them, whether it was away, home, in London, around the country. Like they used to take me with them, and that was a big thing for them, because they were still young themselves. And for me to go and experience what I experienced out the game, Janola's first goal away at Sheffield Wednesday always sticks with me, as well as that the Ferdinand going back to QPR. And running down the middle of the pitch, chest it down, smashing it home. We used to go to watch games. We were never able to get tickets anyway, but this was back in the day where you could go and sit in the home end and celebrate. And I never ever forget that QPR game. We were in the home end, and we saw Ferdinand running down and smashing it home. And me, Lee, and his mate at the time, Ryan, we jump up and we're just going mad. And we've got all these fans around us. Like, now we get kicked out for that, but we were able to do it. And people next to us saying, "Oh, it was a great goal, and our Ferdinand, he's a good player." And naturally, just they were QPR fans, but talking to us and being nice. And it was great traveling the country, supporting Newcastle. And I owe that to my brother, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to experience what I'd been able to experience. And this is what annoys me. I'm sorry, going off on a bit of a tangent now. This is what annoys me about some small sections of the fan base since all the ticketing stuff is gone on, is that there seems to be a finger pointed in like foreign fans out of this country, or fans that don't live in Newcastle. Like, I've lived and breathed this club for 30 years. I love this club more than anything. It's what I think about when I first wake up. I'm looking at Newcastle United related stuff, like last thing at night before I go to bed. We put all our heart and soul into this channel, guys. You know how much we give to and commit to this channel.
Because we love Newcastle. That's why. If it was a different topic, forget it. We left it a long time ago.
And it frustrates me, like how, you know, people can just say, oh, just because we've got a takeover, these fans are just kind of following Newcastle, fake fans, all the rest of it. Nah. Yeah. I've travelled up and down this country for years watching Newcastle United. Travelled in Europe, Champions League, UEFA Cup, to watch this club. You've done similar, Daz. You have to travel from country to country to watch this club. You know what I mean?
I've got a few stories as well. Like, okay, I've got my Sunderland story. I'm not sure if you remember that one. It will take us off on a tangent though, if I go telling it now. All right, I'll tell it. But so, back in Ireland, Sunderland became popular for a while. They had the Irish owners, and Sunderland came to Go United to play a friendly game. I think it was around the Niall Quinn kind of era as well. So I didn't really know, I don't know what age I was at this stage, but I didn't really know that there was a massive rivalry between Newcastle and Sunderland. That's it. Like you don't get that sense in Ireland. And again, I'm only seeing Match of the Day. I didn't even have Sky Sports or anything like that. So and Sunderland were in, this is the Premier League era. Sunderland were in the first division, and they were just actually, this is a pre-season game. It's Go United, and they were being promoted that season into the Premier League. So I go along to the game. Hot day for a change in Ireland, and I go along to the game with my friend. His family to the game, and I don't bring a jumper with me. You know? So I wear my Newcastle jersey. To go to a football game, I wear my Newcastle jersey. That's a thing. I'm not thinking there's to be massive reaction to that. But Michael Gray was playing for Sunderland at the time. It was around that kind of era. But I'm at Charlton Park in Galway, and then this wait for the game to kick off. Before the game, this guy comes up to me and goes, "Can I take a picture of you?" And I go, "What? What's this?" And so I go, "Okay." And he took a picture of me. He goes, "That's going on my dartboard at home." So there's me in my Newcastle jersey, nothing else to put on either. Proud as punch. But even Michael Gray is going to come over to take a throw, and he's looking at me going, "What is this guy doing here in a Newcastle jersey?" And after the game, anyway, I think Sunderland won that game, but after the game, I was getting out of Terrydown Park, and the car pulled up to me as well and says, "I'm a Newcastle fan as well. There's a whole lot of Sunderland fans behind me. Run." So no, there was nothing bad or anything like that, but it was just one story as well. And then you mentioned the game as well, Peter. I didn't get to go to a game for years, but the first game I went to was Newcastle versus Chelsea. I can't remember the year, but Shearer scored 1, but Edgar Goodjohnson scored 2. It was 2-1. We lost 2-1. But yeah. So yeah, we've been there, the thick of it for a long time. So in the good days, and then the dark days under Mike Ashley, of course, as well. But yeah, that took us down a bit of a tangent.
It did, especially those last 18 months going through the takeover stuff. That they were hard times. Like, it was bad enough through COVID, but then affecting mental health with the takeover and the won't it happen, like they were tough times that we all went through. Like we did, and we've been, like I said, we've been through that. But I wouldn't change it for the world, because we wouldn't have met Daz and we wouldn't be doing this right now. So it's great. And what's amazing about that, and I'll just keep that just for a second, is a lot of people coming in with support and their own opinions. Paul said, and great to see you, Paul. All are welcome. Don't care where the supporters are from, and I'm with you on that one for sure. Adam says, Pete, for me, those fans with the narrative aren't real fans who appreciate fans from whatever background, area, county, country. It doesn't matter. Foxy talks to us about, I can remember the day Tino's debut versus Borough clearly was playing down a local field, and it was snowing so bad. Got home, and while I was going up the stairs, I hear Soccer Saturday say Tino's coming on. And then immediately Tino produces the magic. I remember it. It was amazing.
And back in that day as well, it was just crazy. Like, I remember you'd hear a rumor, Newcastle signed or linked to this one, or signed this one. Like, I remember thinking we had so many strikers already, and then we're linked to Del Piero. I was like, what, Del Piero as well? Where are we going to play him? Like all these kind of. It was crazy. It was almost those Keegan era was just unbelievable. Now you're getting the information instantly, and it's so widespread. But that it was harder to hear about what was happening back in those days.
Definitely. Well, massive thanks to Colin. Super chat.
Cheers, Colin.
Of course,
and your question?
No question. But just the super chat. Thank you for all your support. I appreciate it.
Cheers, Colin.
Get a question in later on in the show. More than happy to put it on there as you deserve it. An easy question for you, Daz. Is Alex Murphy a celebrity in Galway, a David Beckham figure? Is he?
I think Life Goals has taken the piss there, but no, he was. I can call it definitely not a David Beckham figure, but he was pretty well known before he left to go to Newcastle, because he was destined for greatness to make that jump. So, but look, I didn't know an awful lot about him at all. My nephew actually knew more about him. He met him and was chatting to him and stuff. But I think for him to be more of a celebrity in Galway and in Ireland, he'll have to make his mark with Newcastle in the Premier League and or another team maybe, who knows, and get into the Irish squad as well. Then he'll be more widely known.
Yeah, no, fair play. I think he's got a pathway into this team for sure. I really think he's a talented player, and he's definitely one for the future for us. One of many, which is great to see and great to hear. Tony's Tony said, great content. Thank you. Pleasure to have you, Tony. Thank you. Get your questions in if you haven't already. Steve Brown's gone 3-0 Liverpool. Come on. Now we're getting the score. Come on, get those scores up. Newcastle United fans, that's for sure. Another question for you. I love this from Life Goals. I wonder if Miley might have a better career than Zizou. Our own very own Zinedine Zidane. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw someone. I think it's a question as well. Someone asked, "Who would you compare it to?" Someone said Patrick Vieira and a few players like that.
Yes.
I don't know. It's difficult at that one. There's a few names mentioned. Yeah, that's it there. Yeah, Toure as well. Jesus, some great names there. I don't know. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be class for us, but I wouldn't like to label him as comparing him to another. And he's at his hometown club as well, so that's something different. And someone also says as well. I think it was Alan that says that Real Madrid are sniffing around him as well, or names have been dropped. Anyone that's young and up and coming, you have Real Madrid or Barcelona names being dropped. But here it is, from Alan. But no, he's going nowhere. He's not like we're not a club that will need to sell. We may sell to not Miley, but a player to improve financial fair play situation to allow us to buy a couple of players, let's say. But no, Miley isn't one of them.
Right. Some other questions in here. Interesting one, slightly off Newcastle topic. Question for you, Daz. Why has even Ferguson gone off the boil? You said the greatest player of all time, better than Kane, is now 19 and Miley's outshining him. He's having you on.
I know he is. I know. I never said that he's better than Kane. And I did say that I didn't want Kane to come to Newcastle. But he's doing really well at Bayern Munich, so fair play to him. But Evan Ferguson, that he scored the hat-trick against us, and then he has got off the boil. I have him in my fantasy football team, and he's still in it. And hopefully he does something against Arsenal maybe tomorrow. But I don't know. It's still early days for him as well. He's not consistent enough, and then again, they don't play him week in, week out. He comes off the bench and a bit. It's still. I think they're managing him, not so that he's not overplayed or getting injuries. But you would imagine he'd be more consistent.
Yeah. Definitely. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton are halting his development because they don't want him to leave. They want him to be the future. Brighton cannot keep selling their prized assets for big money. They can't keep doing it. Like at some point, like we had it years and years before remember Southampton when like the likes of Lallana and a few others, like there was, I can't remember the striker that went to Liverpool now. He was a Liverpool fan, and there was a few others that literally Van Dijk as well that got shipped out for big money, and they would try to churn through more players, and they just couldn't. Brighton have got a good scouting network, but there's only so many players you can churn through before it then becomes that you're then having to pay more to sign these young players, and then these young players don't develop how you want them to, and all of a sudden, things start to drop off. Like you've got to be very, very careful. It wouldn't surprise me if they're just trying to halt things and maybe keep him for another year after this season to just kind of halt his development slightly so it benefits them as a club. Like I said, wouldn't surprise me at all. It's an interesting.
When he does go, he'll go for big money. And I think he is. Ricky Lambert, that was it. I think he is a Man United fan as well. Actually, I think I heard him. Somebody saying something like that in an interview.
Well, Gary Neville's been convinced that he's going to Man United at some point when he leaves Brighton, so that would make sense. But got quite a few other questions. Let's work through them. We've gone through that one. Tony said, finishing in the top 6 this season is more important than our Champions League or Europa League progression this season, in my opinion. So I would have took 3 points today and next week over Milan. Are you the same, Daz? Is everyone else the same in the chat? Are you looking at top 6 being the priority this season?
It is now for sure, but I would have been greedy. I would have been like Eddie Howe, and I don't think anyone would have accepted anything less from Eddie Howe than going for everything as well. So, it's easy in hindsight to kind of say these things, but I think now it's the focus is climbing up the league and getting top 5. I don't want the Conference League at all. I'd rather be out of Europe than in the Conference League. I've said that last year as well. Europa League, so be it. But top 5 and top 5 that hopefully that we can get into the Champions League if we finish in 5th, and that whatever mathematical equation they're using to calculate that works out for us, and we land in the Champions League.
Yeah, definitely. I would. You know what? I would have taken a Europa League campaign because I think with the teams that are in the Europa League, Liverpool aside, I think we would have been massively competitive. I think we could have gone, we could have gone deep into that competition, and I genuinely think we could have got at least to the quarterfinals, semi-finals. I really do.
But then I know the games won't start till February again or something. But would that have had an effect on us then in our league form again? Who knows? Well, with injuries and stuff again, and we never know. We are where we are now.
What I would say is that I wouldn't begrudge it, because let's be honest, the way the coefficient is now, currently we don't get 5 teams in the Champions League in England. So that makes it more difficult for us to attain that top 4. We would have to expect Man City to go deep and maybe win it, as well as Arsenal to get close. We would need Liverpool or West Ham or Brighton to win the Europa League. We would probably need Villa to secure the Conference League, which is all possible, by the way. We would need to last those Italian teams, because at the moment, Germany are top, flying. Italy is second, and it didn't help that Milan went through and we didn't. And then we're third with La Liga not far behind. We need to be in the top 2 places for coefficient for us to get the 5th spot. That can still happen, and if that's the case, I do think we'll get Champions League football, in my opinion, because I do think we're more than capable of finishing 5th in this Premier League. But I wouldn't begrudge a Europa League season. You look at how it's benefited so many other teams, like Liverpool. Liverpool is sitting right near the top of the table, if not, I think, up right now, and managing the Europa League season. And their squad, you look at their squad player to player, apart from they've got much more attacking intent than we have, but we probably have got just as many midfield or defensive options than they have. Like, our squad's not too dissimilar to them. And I think that we could probably do something similar next season. But of course, we want to play Champions League football. So there's a few more. Simple question, Daz, from Chris N. Hope you're well. Summer upgrade for Miggy?
Yes, bring it in. Bring it on. And if
keep him as a squad player?
Oh, if we got a squad game is going to tell us that. Yeah. But if we got a decent offer, I say this every year. If we got a decent offer, I'd consider it. But I think we need an upgrade.
We need a first choice right winger. At 30 years old with Miggy, I think there's elements of his game that are really important at certain parts of games. But I think we need someone that can push him now. He's the only right winger available at this club. I've said it before. He's the only one available. So he's too comfortable. He needs to be pushed. So a right winger. You know what? I want a right winger in January. I'm not going to lie. I want a right winger. And if you're asking me a name off the top of my head to get in, go get a loan with the obligation to buy or a view to buy. Go and get Rafinha from Barcelona. Go get him. That's just one example. But there are other players out there. Go get someone like that. 40, 45, 50 million for Rafinha, loan with an obligation to buy. Go get him, make him your first choice, and say to Miggy, We love you. We respect what you've done at Newcastle United, but earn your spot. And I guarantee you, what you've been banging on about with Miggy on away days, Daz, and weeks before, you'll see him properly perform to keep his place in the team. But that's what I think about that.
Yeah, it's between now and the end of the season. What Miggy does will dictate where he is next season, really. So let's take that as it comes.
Yeah, definitely. Just a really quick one that I'll answer. Alan, has Emilio been in touch from away days? Emilio's a great guy. So
he is a great guy, actually.
He did send a message. Sorry, he's put good second half performance, Pete. We competed well. Oh, just lost it. We competed well in the first half after the sending off. Well deserved victory. So always respectful is Emilio. Really good guy. Shearer's been urging us to re-sign Ivan Toney. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, maybe I've been brainwashed by Sean Casey's tweets or somewhere along the line. But I heard all this talk of that when Tony goes, he'll go to London or stay in London or wherever. And there's talk of Chelsea, talk of Arsenal, and it seems where the tweets I'm seeing on is kind of talking about Arsenal, and that's the player they need to win the league. Blah blah blah, that kind of talk. But I haven't really thought of him in back at Newcastle again. So it's a no for me, I think. He's a good player, though.
Tell me where to sign, mate. Tell me where to sign. I don't think heartbeat. I think he is a super striker. Wouldn't have been this striker had he stayed at Newcastle, so we have to make that clear. But he's gone away, honed his craft. I'd love him at Newcastle. I really would. He'd score goals in this team. I
hate that the thought of going. It's like a Chelsea move, getting rid of a player, then buying them back again. That kind of I hate that. That really annoys me.
I hear it. I do. The way he plays, Ivan Toney, I actually see him. He's the middleman to Wilson and Isak. Because he's the balance between the two. If you look at Wilson, he's the hustle and bustle, hold up, old school striker, likes to run in behind, off the last man. Isak's more comes short, gets the ball, drifts into wide space, a little bit like Henry used to do, and kind of drive in and score his goals like that.
Yes,
Tony's the middleman. He can do both, and he will drift into wide spaces. He can also run through the middle. He's as strong as an ox, holds the ball up, can score a goal, different techniques, right foot, left foot, head, penalties, whatever it is. Like, he just has a mix. He ain't gonna be cheap. That's what I'm gonna say to you. He ain't gonna be cheap. And we're looking at 60 million plus maybe to get him through the door.
Just check what age he is. He's 27. He'll be 28 in the 16th of March. So no, I wouldn't pay 60 million for him then. I know you pay a premium for strikers. I don't know who I bring in, but no, I always put it in like I'm playing a football manager. I wouldn't bring Tony in.
Well, we've been linked with Garatti as well. That link is still continuing to be strong. The striker from Stuttgart, 20 goals this season already, 17.5 million buyout clause. There's talks that he won't leave in January, but you just never know. But Fulham transfer will cover it way.
Yeah. No, will. He'd be like a stopgap kind of a signing, like in some ways, like the Chris Wood one. Bring him in, see how he gets on. At least at the 17.5 million, you can sell him on again. Worst comes to worst, sell him for 10 million again. So
definitely getting some scores in for the Man U Liverpool game. Jed's going for 4-1. Welcome, Jed. Hope you're well. Tony's gone for he's gone for a bigger. He's not going for a 7-up. He's going for an 8-up. Interesting, very, very interesting with some of those scores coming in. Daz, I'm going to ask you this question. As a player, we didn't really talk about too much. I think you touched on him briefly, Daz. But Adam says, how do you rate Club's performance today?
He had that one very good save against Iobi. And he came and collected a few crosses. Though I think there was something like I was when I was listening to when my power was out, I was listening to Paul and Billy, and they said that why didn't he come and collect something at one point? So I didn't see that bit of the game, the early first 15 minutes. But he did all right today. I was calling for Karius to come in and let's see what he could do. But no, and he kept a clean sheet, so that bodes well as we move into the game against Chelsea in the League Cup on Tuesday night.
Okay, yeah, clean sheet on the board, good for his confidence. Can't argue with that. Let's see how he builds from there. Just a few comments from other people from what we've been talking about. Peter Beardsley was sold and brought back. Very, very
good
true.
Point.
JBM UFC goes for 3-0. Liverpool has gone for that score. Life Goals just said, talk about the striker talk. Giroud would be amazing. He could do it. We tried to get him before he came to.
But not now. What is he now? Nearly 40? Giroud?
No, I think he's about 36, I think. 36, 37, something like that. Yeah. Good striker.
37.
Yeah, he's a good striker, but he's beyond what we're looking at now. David, come on, man. What are the odds on Tony and Tonali linking at one? Don't do that to us. And Adam, come on, man. You think Tony's going to help Tonali in his rehab?
He can throw Trippier in that boat as well.
Yeah, that's true. Let's not do that, guys. I'm joking, by the way. But interestingly, Tony reckons that Wilson is better than Tony. Interesting. It'll be interesting to know people's thoughts on that. But question for you, Daz. Who do you think will be our first big outgoing player, as this will need to happen with FFP?
Good question. We also concentrate on the incomings and not the outgoings. I don't think there'll be an outgoing until the summer. And I did again hear talk before, and I don't know how true that was, but that me back to Atlanta, and kind of an FFP move that would work out for us as well. I'm going to say Miggy. Because I don't think that you're looking for someone that's going to command some kind of a fee that'll help us. So we're not talking about a Matt Ritchie or a Dummett here or a Mark Gillespie. We're talking about someone that'll command a bit of a fee. I'll say Miggy. How about you?
In terms of raising a fund, like a decent fee, I would say Miggy. I wouldn't want this to happen, but I think me and Chris have talked about this before, and I think he asked me the similar question, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if we cash in on Willock to get another midfielder. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be now, it would be in the summer, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone came in with 30 million for Willock that we maybe take it. I wouldn't necessarily want it, but you're looking at players that could potentially raise a decent fee. There's those two, and then obviously, of course, you've got the 100 million clause in Bruno's contract, which I don't want to happen. I don't want to see that happen at all. But they're kind of the three that you're looking at. And then you add a fourth, maybe Callum Wilson. Year left of the contract, possibly. He's one that you cash in on in the summer. Again, I would like to have 3 strikers, so I'd like to keep him. But if you have to raise at FFP, then maybe that's one. So there's 3 or 4 there that you can choose from between. There are a few more questions that will fly through. Let me just start with this one. What do you think of this one from Life Goals, Daz? Is it fair to say we only now appreciate Dan Burns' importance to how we play after his absence? An interesting one from last week.
It is. It's a good point. Look, there was a time there that I think Peter, I remember you said I never want to see him at centre back, but today, in the circumstances, like he was there for us. No, he is probably underappreciated at times, Dan Burn.
I still
back in a sec, Pete.
Go for it. Yeah, no worries. I still stick with that. When I said about Dan Burn at centre back, I don't genuinely believe that he can be considered the centre back replacement for Botman long term. Like today, one game against Fulham, 10 men, cool, I'm fine with that. But not long term. We saw in games earlier on this season, Liverpool, for example, when he comes on, when you've got quality running at you with pace and power, I think he really struggles with that. I think when he's isolated at left back, I think it's easier to manage, and he manages it very, very well, which is why I see Dan Burn more of a centre back. But do any of you guys in the chat think that Newcastle United will go and sign a centre back in January? I hope they do personally. Do we need one? Is it a priority position? Let us know your thoughts on that. But whilst Daz is just sorting one thing out, I'll go to this question that was asked to me by Life Goals. Put question for Pete. You're a Leicester lad. Is Harvey Barnes likely to return in Star one day? Also, do you think Chris Rigg will ever join Newcastle? First of all, Harvey Barnes has barely kicked the ball for Newcastle United, but the minutes that he's played for us, when he's come on, the likes, the preseason friendly against Villarreal, the likes of Villa, he's come on and done a job. Like, he's made a difference to the team. I think when he gets up to speed, like, he'd have played a lot of games at this point this season had he been fit throughout. He got his start against Sheffield United. I think he'd have come good. He's a good top player. I had him getting double figures this season. I think the quicker he comes back, if he can come back by January, I still think he's already got a goal under his belt already. I still think he can get close to that double figures in goals if he comes back early January. I still think there's enough in the tank from him to get that amount of goals because he's a goal scorer. So I'm not worried. Like, obviously, it's frustrating that he's not fit. We need him as an alternative for Gordon because Gordon's pretty much playing every minute. But I'm not giving up on Harvey Barnes because I think Harvey Barnes will deliver for Newcastle. I really do. Chris Rigg, difficult situation because if I'm right thinking, he signed a contract with Sunderland. So I think he's committed to them. And look, I would throw Joe Bellingham in the same category because you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool all looking at Joe Bellingham. Like, why did he go to Sunderland? Because if he wasn't at Sunderland, I'd be saying, go get someone like Joe Bellingham because he's got the potential to be up there and perform like his brother. I genuinely see it. And I hate the fact that he plays for Sunderland because I really think he's a talented player. Chris Rigg, the same. I just think, in my opinion, because of who they play for, it makes it very difficult for Newcastle to get them. I think if we were going to sign Chris Rigg, we'd have needed to sign him sort of last season. I think it's going to be difficult to get him now, but that's just my opinion. A few other questions. Did you see the rumours that Man United were interested in Dan Ashworth? Why would he leave the project? Brett, he's not going anywhere. Dan Ashworth is staying at Newcastle United. There was talk about it 3, maybe 4 weeks ago was when I saw the link first pop up. On Saeed's channel, I think it was when they first talked about it. He would be mad to go to Man United under those circumstances. Yes, you can maybe call them a bigger club that they are with the trophies and the history and all the rest of it, but he gets everything he needs at Newcastle United right now. He's got a project that's going in the right direction. He's got something he can mold and make successful at Newcastle United. Why would you want to go anywhere else? And he's nowhere near finished the job here for him to consider a new project already. I think he's done all he can at Brighton. in terms of what they'd built at that point. I think it was the right time for him to leave. He's got years left before he achieves what he wants to achieve at Newcastle. So for me, he's not going anywhere, and the club aren't going to want him to go anywhere. You don't wait. You don't pay a huge kind of like fee to get him. You don't try and get him out of his contract, and you don't wait the best part of 6-7 months for a person like Dan Ashworth, like we did for his contract or his gardening leave to kind of like finish. To get someone like that to then get rid of him a year and a half later, it doesn't make sense. He is here to stay, so I'm not.
And just on that one as well. Like I think we did talk about before, but what would you rather building something at the start of a project, building it from relatively nothing, from how low it was to build something to where Man United, the opposite is Man United is a rebuild. And what thanks are you going to get for rebuilding Man United? You'll get more thanks for building. Because I don't think he's going anywhere in any case.
Yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree with you, Naz. 100% agree. Just a quick one, JB NUFC. Nico Williams, I think you're on about from Bilbao. I think his contract runs out in the summer. Right winger, talented player.
Great age.
Great age. I know Villa are really interested in him, and I know we have been interested in him in the past. Again, is that a player that you can pluck out of Bilbao? You give them a fee that they can't turn down because he might leave for free. Again, something to consider. But
it's a great player. I think he'd stay in Spain, though, somehow.
Possibly. Last few before we wrap up. That's the questions for the evening. What are your thoughts on Phillips? Would you want him? And I'm assuming this is Calvin Phillips, Tony. Or would you want him at the 2? And personally, I think he's the last player we need. Another player who's prone to injuries. Rumours of us watching Cybria, though, I believe at PSV. But the first question there about Phillips, what do you make of that?
I think I'll stick with what I've been saying for the last 2 years about Phillips. That because it does seems to be it's I suppose getting closer to the transfer window, and I think Pep has now said that he's definitely going or something as well. Or I don't know, but I still think if we are to go for him, I only want him on loan, then see how he performs and take it from there. I don't want a permanent signing. Maybe if he was to come and was absolutely unreal first and wasn't stayed injury free during that time, you'd consider buying him then. But loan only for me on Phillips.
Yeah, I'd agree. He hasn't been injured that much for Man City. He's just not played. Although when he was at Leeds, he was picking up a lot of injuries, but he hasn't played enough to pick up injuries. So I don't think it's been the injuries. I just don't think that Pep fancies him.
There's a documentary about him somewhere as well. I've seen it on Amazon for a while. So that might be something if it does turn out that we do go and get him, it might be something for people to watch, to keep an eye out for that.
Definitely. In terms of centre midfielders, Maxen Coqueret at Lyon. Take a look at him. One of Bruno's mates and Paqueta's mates. Number 6 would be perfect. They're in a relegation battle at the moment. What an opportunity to take a player, 23 years old, out of Lyon and bring him in. Top player. And in the French national squad as well. So last couple after that one. Let's have a look. There's one here, another one from Life Goals. What would it take for people to stop saying big 6 about those clubs? If Newcastle end up in the top 5 for 3 consecutive seasons with Chelsea mid-table, would that shift the narrative? That's a great question. Life Goals. A really
it is. There's even a YouTube channel called The Big 6. Good channel, by the way. It'll take a while, but that'll dissolve in time. I think it'll be a thing of the past.
Yeah, it's because they've been consistently the top 6 for so many years. I think you're right. I think it will dissolve the more that Newcastle finish in the top 6. You're going to get Villa up there for 1 season, 2 seasons, maybe, and just about. But if we can continue to finish in that for all that period of time, then we cannot not be considered. Especially because we're building financially off the pitch as well, whereas other teams aren't. We're building the financial stability to be earning the same sorts of money as those type of teams. And not only will we be doing on the pitch, we'll be doing it off the pitch, which puts us more likely to be able to compete with them in comparison to Villa and West Ham and all the rest of them on the back of that. So,
and we're not cheating to get it either.
Exactly, we're doing it in the right way. Absolutely. David Cook just talks about his experience. Brought up as he seemed to get older from the age of 8, left home in 83, but travelled for 10 years from the northeast Scotland before not being able to travel regularly due to caring for his wife after a brain operation. So there's David Cook's experience, and David's a huge supporter of the channel, so massive respect to that. And lastly, what about this mad rumour Yakube Minte would take a 12 million fee to return from his loan? It feels like we've dropped a ball with no recall. Reminds me of Loire at Pompey on loan, scoring against us. I was there in that game in the away, and I was fuming. Me and Lee were both fuming that day. Jesus Christ. I don't want to remember that one. That was a horrible journey home. But what do you think of the question, Das?
Yeah, we talked a bit about this. Now, if you watch Eddie Howe's press conference, and his body language on that one as well, and some of the questions he's asked, it's interesting. Just rather than just reading it, just take in everything that is available to you in those press conferences, because Newcastle do put them on YouTube after. But yeah, no, I don't think he's seriously considering bringing him back. And I know, Pete, we had talked about it, that he's still a bit raw, even though he's doing really well. He's still a bit raw, and that he imagine bringing him back, right? And then we have all our players back, and he's just going to sit on the bench or something. It would be a bit of a waste then. I haven't seen the talk of a 12 million fee. That's just ridiculous, and I think that's probably bullshit. But I don't think he's coming back in January. He'll be back in the summer.
Yeah, Tony says he can't be recalled, which I don't believe he can.
Yeah,
Eddie Howe said that in the presser, but maybe he means that's what maybe it takes to cancel the loan, is that sort of fee, which is just mad. It's madness. Yeah. Leave him be. We've said it, Daz. Leave him be. Let him carry on his loan spell. If we need a right winger to come in, let's not have someone that will be below Miggy Almiron in the pecking order. Let's get someone that's better. Someone that pushes Miggy the other way. We need to improve the team. But hey, that's our opinion. And look, there's the questions, Daz. That's all.
Cool. No, some great questions there, Pete. And yeah, look, we're at an hour and 38 minutes now. But thanks to everyone for coming along and joining us for the reaction. A positive reaction for a change. We've missed that. It's been a while since we had that. So what's happening over the next couple of days? I know we're maybe we need to talk off air, but I know we are back on Tuesday for the watch along. So keep an eye on that one. So the watch along, it's currently down at 7:30, and we might need to change the time. We'll see how things go. But 7:30 on Tuesday for our watch along. And come join us for that, because every time we've done one of these, because we haven't done many watch alongs, it's been the Champions League. Hasn't worked out great on that front, but these ones have. So come and join us, and hopefully we can carry on into the next round and beat Chelsea at home, Stamford Bridge. So keep an eye on that one. Anything else up our sleeves, Pete, which we can divulge?
Yeah, we'll look. Keep an eye on the time that we do it, but why not do a bit of a transfer talk? The loaded boys talk a few transfers. Let's see what's rumbling at the moment and get people's. It's kind of given us the feels tonight with some of the questions around players.
People are hungry.
Yeah, why
for
not?
Transfer talk?
why not do a little something? So let's talk after the show, and we'll keep an eye on Loaded on Twitter for our next show. But we'll earmark tomorrow. Why not? Eh? We'll get it sorted.
On Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you have, and we have something there. But yeah, keep an eye on YouTube for us tomorrow, so we'll have something up running there. That is it. Shout out to our sponsors, theradiatorshed.com, and a shout out also to HCO Bathroom Design Co. As well. That is it. Back to winning ways. What more could you want for Christmas? Great show, says Foxy. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Everyone hit that like button on the way out as well.
100 likes with 300 away. Remember, 100 likes per goal. So everyone on the way out, hit that like. Let's get us up to 300 as quickly as possible.
Let's do it. Do it. Right. How'd you like that? Good night, everyone. Have a good weekend. Do the right thing.